Should you run your business as an LLC or a sole proprietor? If you're wondering which of these is best for you, you're in the right place. I'm about to answer that question and show you how you might be able to save thousands of dollars every year on your taxes with the right business structure. In this episode, you'll learn what an LLC and sole proprietor are, the pros and cons to each, how to save thousands on your taxes with the right business structure, how to set up an LLC, and then finally, make sure you stick around to the end where I'll share with you which of these is best for your specific business. As a multi-six-figure business coach, I've been running businesses for over 18 years using both LLCs and as a sole proprietor. So while this is not legal advice, everything I'm going to be sharing with you is from my own personal experience, so you can trust that it will work for you. Okay, so let's talk about a sole proprietor first. This is the most simple and basic way that you can do business. If you open your doors and start accepting money from other people and don't create any sort of company structure for yourself, you are considered a sole proprietor. And what this means is basically that there's no separation between you and your business in the eyes of the IRS here in the United States. So you and your business are basically one. All of the income that comes into your business flows through or passes through to your personal taxes, which means you report that income on your personal taxes as part of a form called a Schedule C. Makes it really easy to do your taxes. Again, this is like the simplest, most basic way to set up a business. And it's the way that many people operate a business, at least when they're getting started. Now, on the other hand, we've got an LLC, which is an entity, a type of structure that you can basically create that creates a layer of separation between you and your business. So an LLC is basically a limited liability company. And when you create an LLC, you're basically creating a structure that exists separate from you. Now, this structure will separate you from your business, and the revenue and income coming into the business can be taxed in different ways depending on how you set up your LLC in the eyes of the IRS. So there are a number of pros and cons to each of these, and it's not that one is right for everyone. The pros to a sole proprietorship is it's the easiest to set up. It doesn't require you creating any sort of additional structures. Basically, you just open your doors on day one and start accepting money. There are no additional forms to fill out. All of your income comes in on your personal taxes, so it makes it really simple to do your taxes. When I was running as a sole proprietor, I used TurboTax and I filed all of my taxes myself, and it was super easy to do this. You basically just report your income on your taxes, and it just makes it incredibly easy to file. You can still do a lot of the things that you can do as an LLC. Pretty much, most of the things you can do as an LLC. So you can still accept money. You can still open a separate bank account. You can even do business under a business name that's separate from your personal name using what's called a DBA, or a fictitious business name. So a lot of the things that you can do as an LLC, you can do as a sole proprietor. And this is why it's really the simplest, most basic, easiest way to get started. The cons to being a sole proprietor, there are really two big ones. The first is that there is no liability protection as a sole proprietor. So if you get sued as a business, because you and your business are basically one, the person who sues you can basically go after all of your personal assets. And there's no separation from your personal assets versus the business. As a LLC, there's a layer of separation there that protects you from that liability on a personal standpoint. The other main con to being a sole proprietor is there is no tax advantages, particularly when you get past a certain level of income. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But as you start making more in your business, you can actually save more money on your taxes by being an LLC versus a sole proprietor. You don't get to take advantage of those tax savings when you're a sole proprietor. Now, there are some pros and cons to being an LLC as well. The biggest pros are really, number one, you get that liability protection. So if somebody sues you, it's harder for them to go after your personal assets. The other big pro, and this is the reason why I set up an LLC and why I recommend that many people do set up LLCs, is because past a certain level of income, you can actually save quite a bit of money on your taxes by having an LLC and electing to be taxed as what's called an S Corp. Now that sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but basically what this means is, so when you're a sole proprietor, all of the income coming in your business passes through to your personal income taxes, and all of that income gets taxed at your personal income tax rate. So you pay Social Security, you pay Medicare, you pay all of the normal income tax percentages on that income that's coming into your business. When you are an LLC and you elect to be taxed as what's called an S Corp, that income coming into your business that you end up paying yourself can be split into two separate parts. So you can pay part of that as a salary to yourself, and you pay all of the normal income tax on that salary. But you can take the other part as what's called a dividend. And that dividend part that you pay yourself, you don't have to pay self-employment taxes on that part, which right now in the United States are 15.3%. So you save 15.3% on all of the money that you pay yourself as a dividend. So like in my business right now, depending on the year, it looks a little bit different, but let's say 50% of the income that I pay myself is given to me as a salary and 50% is paid to me as a dividend. So I save 15.3% on half of my income in taxes, which for me works out to a lot of money. It could be tens of thousands of dollars every single year on my taxes. So one of the biggest advantages to being an LLC, particularly past a certain level of income, is that you can actually save quite a bit of money on your taxes. This could be thousands of dollars a year as a business owner that's getting basically handed to you back into your pocket. The cons to having an LLC, and there are some big ones. The biggest one is that there's a lot of complexity that's involved in setting up an LLC. It's not crazy to do to the point where it doesn't make sense, but there's more forms to fill out. You have to file more things on a regular basis. There's a lot more complexity than when you're running a sole proprietor or as a sole proprietor. So it's more complicated to set up. There's more paperwork to maintain. There's also some fees associated with running an LLC. Sometimes, depending on the state that you're in, you might have to pay some additional fees to either file or maintain that LLC. Particularly in states like California, this can be quite expensive. So there are some pros and cons to having an LLC. Now, when it comes to my recommendation for which one is best for you, this is probably why you came here. Which of these is going to be best for you? Here's my recommendation. If you are making over $100,000 in your business, or you're in a business where the risk of getting sued is higher, then you probably want to set up an LLC. In terms of the tax savings, when you have an LLC, they really only start to make sense, and there really only starts to be that benefit when you're making over $100,000. Because remember, as an LLC, you have to also pay some fees to actually set up the LLC and maintain the LLC. So in my experience, around that $100,000 mark, that's where the benefits of the tax savings actually outweigh the cost of setting up the LLC. So depending on where you're at in your business, that potentially makes sense for you. Or if you're in a business where the risk of being sued might be a little bit higher, you want to have an additional layer of that protection and that separation between you and your business. That's when having an LLC makes sense. On the other hand, if you're just getting started or you're making under $100,000 in your business, I recommend that you just keep it simple, operate as a sole proprietor. If the risk of getting sued is low, if you're not worried about that, and you just want the easiest, simplest way to get started, this was how I got started as a business coach, as an online business owner. I've operated as a sole proprietor until I got to the place where I was making over $100,000 a year. And then I set up an LLC, and now we run as an LLC today. Now, if you do want to set up an LLC, there are different ways that you can go about this. It's not it's not crazy complicated, but it's also not crazy simple either. So my recommendation is, and this is how I set up our LLC, is I actually have an accountant that I work with who does all of my taxes today. And I just went to him and he walked me through the process. And I actually did it myself, but I did it with his help. So he was guiding me and showing me what forms to fill out. There is, again, some complexity involved. There are a number of different forms you have to file to set this up. So I wouldn't recommend doing it completely alone. I would recommend either going to an accountant who can help you with this, or there are several online services that you can actually walk through to set up an LLC that will basically guide you through the whole process. There's a couple I recommend. LegalZoom is one of them. Zen Business is another, and Rocket Lawyer is a third. There are so many other options out there, but these are 3 services that will be able to assist you when it comes to setting up your LLC. So in short, my recommendation is if you're over $100,000 in revenue annual in your business, or if you're in a high risk niche, then an LLC is probably for you. If you're under $100,000 and you're operating in just kind of a simple way to get started, a sole proprietor makes sense. And remember, you can always change down the line. So you can get started as a sole proprietor and then you can switch things down the line, which is what I did. So it's not crazy to do this. And if you just want the simplest way to get started, again, sole proprietor is going to be that answer for you. Now, if you are an online business owner who is looking for help growing your business, because let's be honest, having the right company structure is great, but making money is even better. And I want you to get to the place where you can get over that $100,000 a year mark so you can have an LLC. If you're wanting guidance and help actually making that happen, you're an online business owner who sells coaching, consulting, courses, you're an expert, an author, someone who is transforming lives in some meaningful way through the work that you do in your online business, I put together a free $1 million online business training that walks through the proven 4-step roadmap I've personally used to sell well over $1 million of coaching, consulting, courses online. You can get this completely free. I'd love to share it with you. All you got to do is go to jasonmoss.com/growth. That's jasonmoss.com/GROWTH to get the free training right now. Hope to see you there. Hope you enjoy this. Hope this was helpful for you. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment down below. Let me know, LLC or sole proprietor, which are you going to go with? Which do you think is best for you based on what you learned in this video? Would love to hear from you. And I'll see you in the next episode.